Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, the Michigan chapter. Hurry back and join us. Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, the Michigan chapter, and we have the executive director herself, Melissa Greer. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure.
You know, we hear a lot about Crohn's and colitis, and we know very little about it. So I ask you to come to join us today to give us some insight. I appreciate if you start with yourself, your role as the executive director, and tell us about Crohn's and colitis.
Well, thank you. Well, as you mentioned, my name is Melissa Greer, and I have been with the foundation for almost 3 years now. And before that, I've been in the nonprofit sector for about 15 years, so familiar with all aspects of it. And very excited to work with the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. We're doing such great work, and I can't wait to tell you about it. As I mentioned, we're a national nonprofit organization, and we are one of 40 chapters. Our office, located in Farmington Hills, covers the entire state and Toledo. We do have a staff dedicated on the west side of the state as well. So we've got every market we're covering in the state, and we've got resources galore. We are headquartered out of New York, and what's exciting about us is we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and while that's an exciting milestone, we
is.
don't want to celebrate any more anniversaries because we do want to cure Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. So
we understand. It's almost like when you say celebrating, you know, it seems like you've got the answer to the solution to the question, but just knowing that there is an agency that provides a service or a need to people with such a condition, that's in itself is to celebrate.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We also like to celebrate all of the work that we've done. Back in 1967, Crohn's disease was unheard of, and we've done. Not only have we increased awareness, but we've improved the life of our patients significantly by helping sponsor new medications, new ways to conquer what our patients are going through and improve their quality of life by educating and supporting them, which is ultimately our mission, is to cure it, but in the meantime is to support those patients and educate them on their disease.
Okay, so basically, what is Crohn's? I mean, is it two different things? One is Crohn's and one is colitis?
Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis are both two major forms of inflammatory bowel disease, commonly referred to as IBD. And while similar, they're also different. Crohn's disease is an inflammation of anywhere in your GI tract, and that tract spans from your mouth to your bottom. And ulcerative colitis is focused strictly in your colon, which is often referred to as well as your large intestine.
Okay.
So they're different. Symptoms are the same, but there are some varying things as well.
Now, for those who are watching, our viewers, IBD is
inflammatory bowel disease.
Okay. So are there symptoms, early on symptoms that a person can recognize that they may have this condition?
Absolutely. Most common is abdominal cramping, frequent use of the restroom, urgency and of course frequency, but it's an autoimmune disease, so there are other symptoms that come along with it, specifically fatigue. It's more than just a bathroom disease. Our patients deal with skin issues, skin conditions. Psoriasis is definitely a common factor of it, arthritis, and the list goes on. But most of our patients that are pediatrics, you'll notice that because they're not able to absorb a lot of food, their growth is stunted because of their lack of nutrients. So, which is it's a very difficult diagnosis or disease to diagnose too. A lot of these symptoms are attributed to so many different other diseases that sometimes our patients go for years without getting proper medication because they're not diagnosed correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the youngest age for Crohn's?
We've had babies diagnosed with Crohn's disease, 15 to 18 months. The most common age of diagnosis is 17 to 21.
Okay, now a child, and you say a baby, such as a baby, how would a parent know that it's Crohn's?
A lot of times babies have blood in their stool, and so that's a very common indicator. Most of our patients experience that. I don't know if I did mention this, but every instance of Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis is different. Every patient suffers differently.
Right.
You can meet somebody on the street, have no idea that they suffer from these diseases. They may be in remission or have a mild case, or you have others that are hospitalized and multiple surgeries, and it really affects everyone differently.
So basically, if you have Crohn's, is it something that you'll always have your entire life once it's been diagnosed?
Yeah, there's no cure.
No cure.
There is an opportunity to go into remission, and remission means that, you are not having any active flare-ups. You are able to, live day-to-day life however you might be managing it. And that's our ultimate goal, too, until we find a cure, is to get our patients in remission.
Okay. So, now let's go back to the fact that children have, and we start off with babies. Yeah. I know earlier we were talking about, and I'm going to touch on this now because I'm concerned about the fact you have school-age children and let's see, the fact sheet, school accommodation plans, inflammation, bowel disease, IBD. Okay, so there is something in place for children in school.
Yes, and it's called, commonly referred to as a 504 plan. And this allows our patients to work with the school to create a plan that's best for them, allowing them to go to the bathroom and as often as they need to. It's very comes in handy when a lot of the standardized tests for teens and kids, they have to sit for hours at a time, and they're not allowed to leave the room. Certain plans like this allow them to have special test-taking accommodations so that they still are awarded every opportunity as another child.
So a parent would have to notify the students' counselors and have a family meeting with the school.
Correct.
Attended and everything to get them to say, well, my child has a special need, and I like for this to be in his or her file, so that this constant getting up or so-called disruption in the classroom is not considered a distraction, but it's actually a need for her or him to be able to be excused.
Correct.
Okay.
It's also helpful in college. A lot of most universities have a disability office where transitioning to college, of course, is stressful on a lot of kids, but the disability office will work with the student to make sure they have the correct accommodations.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you're talking about you have a condition that you have to go to school with or to go to work with, and you're not sure how management is going to react, you have to have what I think is a support group.
Right.
You got to go to the place and get the resources so that when you hand them the paperwork, it's hard for them to wiggle out of it and say, well, we don't do that here, or how do we know? So I'm always encouraging our viewers to acquire the correct medical documentation for their condition so that they can go to work and still, hold on to their job without automatically being thrust back into society saying, well, we didn't know.
Yeah.
You didn't say anything, so how do we know?
Right.
Okay, and that's common.
Yeah, and unfortunately with these diseases, a lot of people don't want to talk about it. It's not a comfortable topic, but part of what we're doing is we're trying to raise awareness and make sure people are comfortable with what they're experiencing so that they can have those conversations and protect themselves.
Yeah. Well, it's not every day that you can walk up and talk to somebody about Crohn's or colitis or IBD. So, that kind of conversation is kind of like, how do you start?
Correct.
So, but I understand if you have this condition, you need to.
You have to.
Right.
Especially if you're, going through what we commonly refer to as a flare. It doesn't happen all the time, but if a patient is in a flare, they're going to need these protections. They might have to miss work, might have to miss things in school, and they really need to make their, supervisors or teachers aware so that they can be all right.
Well, I tell you what, Melissa, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with some more information about Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, the Michigan chapter. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
I'm home.
Over 1 million Americans at risk of foreclosure have been helped by making home affordable. Find out now what your options are.
Home where I belong. And welcome back to the show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just now tuning in, I hope you know that this show today is about Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, the Michigan chapter. And those of you who know someone who may have IBD, irritable bowel syndrome, or irritable bowel disease, take the number down, because we're going to get Melissa to give us the phone number, the website, because you never know who is suffering in silence and may need some help. And no matter where they are in the world, there's got to be an agency, because keep in mind, if it's a Michigan chapter, there's a chapter mostly everywhere. So we're going to get some more information. So now, Melissa, and you see I started off with you got to have a website or a phone number or something, because people who are watching the show are saying to themselves, I didn't know this program exists. Or, wow, I don't know nothing about them. And I want to go over some of the materials on here, but I definitely know that there's a parent suffering in silence, trying to figure out how to get this information over to the school system.
Sure.
So before we give out the website and stuff, is this 504 program, is it case-by-case study, or what do you do?
Yes, absolutely. If there is a parent out there watching and wants some additional information, they can always call us and we can walk them through it. But basically, a simple conversation with the administration at a school to letting them know that their child has this disease and that they need to make special accommodations. The school should get them in contact with a special education professional, and they'll sit down and do an interview and do a personal plan for their student that will accommodate them in the needs that they have.
Okay, and that's important because, you know, first of all, I've got a newborn with the condition. Then he or she's growing up, you know, and so their condition is okay or dealt with because they're a baby. But now they're getting ready to go to school.
Sure.
So is it something that you would start as early as preschool?
Perhaps. As I mentioned, I think earlier, a lot of our cases aren't diagnosed until ages later in life. But for those preschooler that might be suffering, I would always encourage an early conversation.
Okay. So we need that website or phone number?
Our phone number, local phone number is 248-737-0900. And I'll repeat it, 248-737-0900. Our website is www.ccfa.org.
Okay, CCFA. So we'll put that down at the bottom of the screen. Great. Okay, so now moving along, I hate to go jumping around, but this blue card was amazing. So I just wanted to ask about the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation blue card. Now, normally when you see this, ladies and gentlemen, it's on your key ring. So Melissa, fill us in about this one.
These are our membership cards.
Okay.
Patients in their first year of diagnosis receive a free membership once they call our office and just say they want to become a member. They'll get those cards. You'll see, like you showed up, they have a business card size and also a key tag. And that specific card not only as demonstrates that you're a member, but it gives you the opportunity on the back. It's called I Can't Wait card.
Okay.
And that is something that our organization worked with and advocated. It's called the Alley's Law, and it provides our patients immediate access to any public restroom.
Something like that. Okay.
And it's against the law for anybody with inflammatory bowel disease to be denied restroom access. So that's important for our patients to have. They can get that for calling our office. A lot of the physicians we work with have those as well, and they might be in a different format, but it states the bill that was passed that allows them that access.
I mean, to me, I don't know to our viewers if this is considered brand new, but just knowing that you can have a card and I'm going to a place and all of a sudden, like I might be at an opera or something, I'm not supposed to get up, and the doors is closed, and I have to have this key card or the ring so that and then the person who I'm showing it to, luckily on the back, ladies and gentlemen, it tells you I can't wait. So but to me, if a person has this card and they're denied accessibility to a restroom area, that's setting up for lawsuits. I mean,
absolutely.
Okay, you know our people. Okay, but I mean, just actually, but if you have the card, ladies and gentlemen, you got to have the card. Just don't go somewhere and say, you know, I have Crohn's, and think that they're supposed to believe you, because actually, if you have the resources and the tools with you, people will understand better and respect the fact that they need to, you know, honor your request.
Correct.
Okay. So tell us a little more about some of the resources that are available.
Well, we have a plethora of resources in our office. I know that we're going to go through some of those, but some of the in-person resources we have, and I encourage anybody who's been diagnosed just to call us and talk to us about their specific needs. We sponsor 3 education programs in the state every year. They traditionally take place in the spring and fall. One is held on the west side of the state in Grand Rapids. We have one in Plymouth that we do in coordination with the University of Michigan IBD team, where we bring physicians from across the state in to talk about hot topics. And then we do a pediatric program, and that usually takes place around our Camp Oasis reunion, which we can talk about in a little bit. In addition to those educational programs that are free for our members, we have 9 support groups across the state. We are very proud of our support group programs, and they're both for our patients and caregivers. We have adult focused support groups as well as pediatric support groups, because they're suffering, you know, they're experiencing different things. And they are throughout the state. Those can be accessed on our website as well. They're trained professionals that are monitoring these groups, and it gives our patients comfort to know that other people are going through it.
Now, what about volunteers?
We have a lot of volunteer opportunities. We have a lot of fundraising events, of course, walks as well as dinners. We always need people helping to coordinate those, but we also need in-office help at all times.
Okay.
And one of our biggest, or newest, opportunity is outreach to gastroenterology offices to help get our additional resources into those offices.
All right. So I definitely want to talk about diet. Okay, so I know you said the diets can vary, but is certain things like lactose tolerance, gluten-free, are those things that should be on the table?
You said it, though. Everybody is different. Everybody's diet is different, and everybody can eat something different. Gluten is many of our patients are sensitive to gluten, so they have a gluten-free diet. That's not in every case, but in most cases. A lot of fibrous foods are not always good for our patients because of course, it makes, you know, the digestive system speed up. So not always great. Dairy is hit or miss. Caffeine's not always good either. But
what about fruit and vegetables?
Because they're fibrous, sometimes they're not so great. A lot of leafy vegetables seem to not agree so well with our patients. But of course, they're very healthy. So if a patient can tolerate that, we encourage them to eat, you know, fruits and vegetables.
So the diets may vary, but how does a person know what they can eat? Now, can they actually go out and have dinner?
Absolutely.
Okay.
A lot of it, learning what they can and can't eat is trial by error, or trial and error, and just figuring what works with their system. One patient A may have no diet sensitivity, where patient B might be able to have certain foods but not all, and patient C, everything might, you know, irritate that person.
Well, same thing. I think that's the same thing, and not exactly, but in diabetics, some people can have bananas, some people can't. Some people can have cantaloupe, some people can. You know, I can have cantaloupe, I can't have cantaloupe. So it all depends on what works for you and stays down without
whatever your body's sensitivity is.
Okay.
We're actually doing a study on diet right now, so hopefully in the next 18 to 24 months, we'll have some better understanding of what diet food or what food might be better for a patient, and they're testing certain diets like the Mediterranean diet versus traditional foods and things.
Okay, well, I tell you what, Melissa, we're going to take another break, and ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with Crohn's and Colitis, the Michigan chapter. We'll be right back.
Appreciation. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to energy-saving bulbs. Saving energy saves you money.
Моля ви, помогнете ми.
Aidez-moi, s'il vous plaît.
أرجوكم ساعدوني. Parfaitement padete.
أرجوك محتاجين المساعدة.
Chini, bang wo ba.
Ayúdame.
मुझे मदद करो.
Pomozi-me.
Tulungan niyo ako.
Tascate. Por favore.
Help me, please. Anyone can become a victim of abuse. Haven can help.
And welcome back to the last half of the show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've learned a lot today about Crohn's and colitis, and I hope you have too. Please look at the bottom of our segment here. You'll see the website and the phone number to get more information. But we're going to go over some of this literature that you see on the table here that Melissa was nice enough to bring to us for our attention. Now, Melissa, I know that you have a packet there, so that packet there includes this material here.
Sure does. This is what we refer to as our patient packets.
Okay.
Anyone that is diagnosed, we encourage them to call our office, and we will mail them out a packet.
Wow.
And what's included in those packets, as you see, are some brochures, and it talks about how to manage the disease, how to live with the disease. It gives you some facts that you might not know, because when you hear that initial diagnosis, it's scary.
Right. I'm just going to fan this out because I do know it's quite a few here.
Correct.
But ladies and gentlemen, education and support for patients with IBD, surgery, okay, for Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, living with Crohn's disease, and I know that's the top one, you know, managing flare-ups.
Correct.
Okay, living with ulcerative colitis, and diagnose and managing IBD.
Yep.
Okay, so these are some very top-heavy books here, and so the person can get the booklet, that package where? Can they get it sent to them?
Yep. Call our office and we'll get it out in the mail. A lot of our doctors' offices that we work with will give these out as well, but in case that's not an option, we've got them in our office.
Okay. Okay, now what I did like also was that you had a diagram.
Yeah.
So this diagram here is actually showing what?
That is your GI tract. That's an anatomy guide, so you can understand when your physician is talking about different parts of your digestive tract, you can understand where the inflammation might be and where, you know, you can point better to the pain and things.
Okay, now if you have a weak stomach, I'm sorry, but you got to learn something, okay?
Yeah.
So in the back here is the breakdown.
Correct. That is the anatomy of the large intestine, which is the colon, and then basically the rest of, you know, where you're using the bathroom.
So tell me, statistically, you know, what's the number statistically of persons having Crohn's and colitis?
1.6 million Americans have a form of Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. That's 50,000 people in Michigan.
Okay. Now, what gender does this affect?
It doesn't. It's both equally.
Okay, so it doesn't discriminate at all.
Nope, no discrimination. You know, we're seeing, you know, rises in every aspect of that too.
So it could actually start as a newborn, okay?
Yeah. Yep.
And then carry on to the adult life.
Correct. And even though, you know, normal diagnosis is in the teens, people in their 40s can be diagnosed as well.
I'm going to say, because what if somebody doesn't seem like they had anything when they were younger, but all of a sudden they're getting older and they said, you know, got some IBD issues and I know something's wrong, and then they get diagnosed.
Correct.
Okay.
And you're born, there is genetic components to it. It just depends on when that gene decides to act up.
Now, let me say this. Earlier on, I was talking to you, and I told you that I spoke to a lady from Lansing who told us that her son had passed away from it, and she had 2 more children that had it, and no, her grandchildren had it, and another daughter. Is it genetically like that in a family that, you know, so many children or members can
There are
have it?
higher instances of occurrence or diagnosis with if you have a family member that has it. It's not proven. You know, we have sets of twins that one may have it and one hasn't been. It hasn't had a flare up yet.
And she had twins.
And were they both patients? So, unfortunately, that happens, but it's not always the case. But we are also doing a genetic study to find out what gene is specifically responsible for IBD.
Wow.
So hopefully we'll have some more information on that.
And you're going to come back and tell us?
I would be happy to.
Okay, okay. Now, the Camp Oasis.
That is such a wonderful program. I mentioned support groups earlier. That is our best support program. Camp Oasis is an annual program. In Michigan, it's held in July at Camp Kopnekonic in Fenton, and it's specifically for kids ages 7 to 17 that are patients, and it gives them, it's a life-changing experience. Yeah, the kids that come say they're home away from home. It's an opportunity for them. It's staffed medically.
Take the pressure off.
and just be a kid for a week, where, you know, a lot of our patients have ostomy bags, and it's a very uncomfortable thing, but they're amongst other people that are going through what they are, so they're able to run free for a week and not worry about that.
Now, most people don't know what an ostomy bag is, but in short, that's when the intestinal tract is in the front.
Exactly, and you're actually, you go to the bathroom in a bag.
Okay, yep, I'm familiar with it. Okay, now I like this book here, The Facts on Crohn's and Colitis. If you don't do anything else, ladies and gentlemen, at least get the facts, okay? So when you get the facts, you got a better understanding what's going on with you. I can't eat tomato paste anymore. Spicy foods make me ill. Milk curdles my stomach. It's a lot of stuff.
It is, and that book will tell you, you know, exactly the statistics, but also it helps you manage, you know, gives you helpful hints, and it gives you things to talk about your doctor or talk with your doctor about, and just kind of track your visits. We believe that the best way for our patients to have a great quality of life is to work with their physician, be open, and share in the decision-making process.
Oh yeah. And then on top of that, you got to have a family support group. So the caregivers has got to have someone to help, you know, navigate what they're going through, because it's like, okay, I got to deal with this person being ill pretty much all the time or irritable. So does the support groups come together, what, monthly or something? How does that work?
Yeah, in most instances, most cases, it's once a month. We have caregiver opportunities as well. And sometimes people they can't attend in person. We have online support groups.
Great.
We have Power of Two programs where we try and pair somebody together, just, you know, for one-on-one kind of support.
Okay.
We have every option of support available that you
That's
can
great,
imagine.
because some people can't make it to a support group and they're at home, you know, maybe stuck at home or whatever, and they're like, how can I get the information?
I just want to talk to somebody.
Right, just, you know, okay. Now, I know this is a lot of information here. It's a local chapter with the website, Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America. This here, okay. In brief, what is this?
That is also in our chapter packet, or in our patient packet. And that gives you an overview of the services we provide and what is in that packet. It gives you, you know, links to our website. We have one of our other programs that we talk about is our IBD Resource Center, where any question that a patient has, whether it's advocacy or a question about their medication, they can call our Resource Center. That information is in that packet as well.
So you want to give out that information again? What's the website? What's the phone number?
Our phone number is 248-737-0900, and our website is ccfa.org.
Okay. I mean, Melissa, I really do appreciate you coming today. And honestly, I think that when this show airs, you will get some phone calls. Some people may want to volunteer, but a lot of people may want to know more about Crohn's and colitis and IBD, because even if they don't have Crohn's or colitis, they may have irritable bowel syndrome or something like that. So does that also touch bases with you guys?
Yes. I mean, it's similar, but it's not a chronic disease. IBS is not chronic, so it's not something that we necessarily are doing a lot of research on. But since they suffer similarly, we'd be able to get them into a support option as well.
Great. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up, but will you come back and see us again?
I would love to. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I really do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to leave without you getting a chance to get this material. Go to the website. If you contact Melissa Greer's office, let them know that you saw them on the Just Ask Talk Show, and you want your card, okay? So, as I always say, if you have a show idea, hashtag Twitter, Facebook, Marsha at Just Ask Talk Show, any of those information's at the bottom of the screen. You can contact me personally, all right? I'm your host, Marsha Florence, for Just Ask, and what do I always say? If you know a person with a disability, or if you just have a general question, don't be afraid to ask. Just ask. I'm your host. Thank you.